Sup guys, I'm Kel, Red Zone Rogue, and today I have another Force of Will strategy video. Keep in mind that this is not a deck tech, but is instead a strategy video with the intent of inspiring other players to go out and brew their own dank versions of this build. But just in case you don't care about any of that crap, there will be a deck list in the description down below. So the strategy this time is more of a well-known one. It is the Soul, Steam Explosion, Volga, Wombo Combo, one-shot, kill, whatever you want to call it. This is actually currently my favorite deck in the game. I love it a lot. It is basically like my favorite type of deck. It's a combo deck, but it also has legs. It has some alternate win conditions. I think it's a lot of fun, and let's go over the combo. So in essence, this is a 3-card combo with Soul. I'm not counting Soul as a card because he's your ruler, so he's always there. You definitely need all 3 of these other cards to go off as soon as possible. You don't need Akiot if you're going to go off later, but I like having him trying to go off on turn 4 or 5. So let's go over the cards real quick, at least these ones. These two are obviously some of the most important parts of the deck. When you first start your game, good old Soul here will come into play with 2, or he will start the game rather, with 2 mana counters. And when you Judgment him, you get an additional 5 mana counters. And if you have an Akiot in your hand, you can remove him from the game to put an additional 5 counters on Soul. So just right off the bat, that's 12. 2 from the ruler side, 5 from flipping, and 5 from the activated ability. And yes, you do get double. The wording's a little confusing on this, but you do get 5 and then an additional 5 if you do remove Akiot in your hand from the game. I took a lot of takes on that one because I kept saying sacrifice and banish and discard. You don't do any of that. You actually just remove them from your hand from the game. So how the meat of the combo works is you use the true successor of Certo, Volga, and Steam Explosion. So let's go over these cards one at a time so we can get a better idea of what's going on here. It's actually pretty simple. Volga is a 400/400 for 2 fire, and he says, whenever this card is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to your opponent. Pretty simple, right? What Steam Explosion does is it costs 1 water, 1 fire, and X being any number of will that you wish to pay. And it deals 200 damage multiplied by X to target Resonator and your opponent. And it's just straight up target Resonator, so you can target your own guys. And you will be targeting Volga, so you'll basically be doing double damage with Steam Explosion to your opponent's face if you hit your own Volga. Because Steam Explosion is an ancient magic, you can cast it using Soul, using his mana counters, which is excellent. That's the whole point of the deck. And you basically want to just go off and one-shot them, all of the damage to their face. It's awesome. You can actually go off and kill them pretty early, like turn 4. So let's go over the pieces that will help you get the pieces that are needed and help prevent your opponent from stopping you. So Guinevere, Rukh Egg, and Ancient Knowledge are all excellent cards that help you dig and or search for the cards that you need. Honestly, a lot of the time, I find myself just needing an Akiot so I can get all 10 counters with Soul so I can go off on turn 4. Rukh Egg's really good for that. Guinevere by herself does a really good job of sacking other Resonators you might have to draw some cards. And Ancient Knowledge is also very good. It just lets you, look through your deck and see what you need. Well, not look through your deck, but look at the top 5 cards of your deck. And since you draw 5 to begin with, there's only 35 cards left in your deck, plus the cards that you draw. You're gonna see quite a big portion of your deck. Rune of Soul functions very similarly to those cards that I just mentioned, except this one lets you straight up search for an ancient magic. I only like running a couple of these in the deck because honestly, like I said, most of the time you're just looking for an Akiot or maybe even Volga. But searching up your Steam Explosion or maybe even an Ancient Knowledge so you can get the other cards that you need is pretty valuable. And it has quick cast, so you can cast this at the end of your opponent's turn. All good stuff. So the Combat Wizard of Altea and Ancient Heartfelt Fire are pretty good cards at ramping into the mana counters that you need to cast your big bold spells. Ancient Knowledge is kind of like a Dark Ritual for Magic the Gathering if you're familiar with that. It puts 3 mana counters on your dude, or on Soul I guess, and it can deal 400 damage to a Resonator if you're getting beat down. Well, J Resonator, but 400 damage to a J Resonator, not going to do a whole lot with this deck. Anyway, I usually just use this as an end of turn 3 counters on Soul right before I want to go off. Combat Wizard of Altea is also pretty good. There is some debate whether or not something else should go in here besides him. I like him actually quite a bit because you can sack him to Guinevere. He doesn't have like the sack effect that the other ones do. He just has the on-enter effect. And I like him slightly more than the blue one because he's a 300/200. I also run a full playset of Rising from the Depths and Captain Hook as alternate win conditions. What can I say? This combo is ridiculous and it is very, very good, especially with all the mana counters. If somehow they counter your dude, or counter your Steam Explosion, or counter your dude, you still have an alternate win condition, and this is still a pretty good one, so, you know, good to have a fallback plan. And here we have again the Nameless Mist. I swear this has got to be one of the best cards in the entire game right now, at least the best common cards in the game. I end up putting this in almost all of my decks. It is so great. For just one darkness, you can look at your opponent's hand and choose a non-resonator card, and they have to discard this. This is imperative to making sure that you can actually combo off when you need to combo off, and they're not going to counter your spell, or they're not going to kill your Volga, something. This card is just so good. I don't know what else I can say. It's excellent. It is the whole reason that I'm splashing darkness for this deck. So last but certainly not least, we have the situational card, Prison in the Lunar Lake. This card essentially hoses over actually multiple different types of decks. It can hose over Lumia, and it can hose over the Nine-Tailed Fox. Though in all honesty, you'll be running this to hose over the Nine-Tailed Fox. I do not have this in my main deck because I don't play against a lot of Nine-Tailed Foxes, but it is incredibly good for hosing them over and, you know, generally making it so that they have a pretty hard time of winning. Here's what it does in case you don't know, because it is, you know, just a common card from Moonlit Savior. It just says, whenever an opponent plays an automatic ability of a Resonator they control that was put into the field from a non-magic field zone this turn, while you control a Water Magic Stone, cancel that ability and destroy that Resonator. So all of their Chimeras, a lot of their other inter-effects like Tama, all that stuff just gets totally hosed. So there you have it, guys. That is the Soul Steam Explosion Volga, I don't know, Wombo Combo deck. Like I said before, this is my favorite deck to play right now. It is so much fun to play. You can win out of nowhere. You have multiple avenues of winning. It has a pretty good degree of consistency with all the search effects. It is a very powerful, maybe, I don't know if I call it top tier deck. Yeah, sure, it's a top tier deck. I hope you guys liked the video. I do want to do one more video going over a Valentina, like, heavy control deck that I've been playing that I've also been having a lot of fun with. I don't think it's as good as some of the other ones that I've been playing, but I still think it's a lot of fun. It doesn't have any like crazy wombo combos or anything like that, but I don't know. I think Valentina's got some supporters out there, and I think they'd like to see a pretty cool deck on it. I also have planned what I'm going to call like a rogue deck series, where I go over like an actual deck tech for like rogue decks. Probably mostly Wanderer decks, and they're just like casual decks that I think are fun or have cool themes. Not super competitive, but something that, I don't know, maybe the more casual players or the more, I don't know, less competitive-minded players could find enjoyable. I already have a couple decks in mind that I've actually been using to teach people how to play Force of Will with, so maybe look forward to those sometime in the future. If you guys like the video, then maybe leave a like, maybe even subscribe. Every little bit helps, and I appreciate it oh so very much. The channel is growing, and I am so thankful. Yeah, regardless of what you guys do, thank you very much for watching. And I hope to see you guys next time.